I wish I could find this video clip of George W. Bush when he was at a rally talking to a single mother. She was telling him that just to get by, she was working 3 jobs. She wanted him to get reelected so he could help her. His response was, "3 jobs, huh? That's the American dream." Meet cortisol. It's a hormone released in the body during times of stress and duress. It restricts arteries and blood flow to limbs and communication between neurons to give extra energy to be stored as fat when food is scarce and times are tough. This drug is extremely useful in times of danger, war, and famine for Paleolithic humans. This drug requires physical activity to remove from your body, which is fine when you're using fight or flight, or use lots of physical activity in your daily life, but welcome to the modern world. When your boss is angry at you for messing up, cortisol floods your brain, making it harder for your neurons to communicate, making you even more likely to mess up, especially if your job is on the line. Stress is everywhere around us, and physical activity is at the lowest of any time in human history. A disease of excess cortisol, usually caused by malfunctioning of the endocrine glands, is called Cushing's syndrome. This disease has many symptoms, including weakness in limbs and bone, body hair growth in women, reduced libido, frail skin and hair, depression, anxiety, and infertility. This disease causes fat redistribution from areas where it will be used quickly to areas of storage. So fat builds up in the abdomen, butt, and face, and in the long term can cause a buffalo hump fat pad on the back. Most Americans do not have Cushing's syndrome, but with the level of stress we have as a society, we tend to have a constant level of it flooding us. This makes us feel the need to eat even more as we are in storage mode instead of use mode, and we wonder why we have a nation of extremely fat people. The Protestant, conservative, and American mindset is that working hard equals good, and if you aren't working yourself ragged, especially when you're poor or middle class, you are lazy. This creates unhappy workers, waste, and mistakes at company expense, and much higher healthcare prices because of stress-related illnesses and escapism needed by using legal and illegal self-destructive habits. It creates irritation and friction between workers as stress creates the psychological concept called regression, where intelligent adults act like children in times of stress. Many countries in Europe understand this and have restricted the work week by law to 30 hours max. And you know what? The people are just as productive as we are, and they have free time to enjoy their lives. They are much healthier, and they have time and mental energy to actually care about politics and be politically active, which is great because their neurons are actually communicating. Of course, doing this would require government intervention, which we can't let happen. That's socialism. And a 30-hour work week would be laziness. Damn welfare slackers actually spending time with their family and enjoying travel to expand their minds and horizons. Cortisol, the American drug. We can't get enough of it, and because of it, we don't have the time or mental energy to maintain anything, including our health, infrastructure, or our minds. America is no longer upwardly mobile. Very few people pull themselves up by their own bootstraps these days, because there are things like exorbitant medical fees to beat you back into your class or lower if you even think about going to the doctor. Also because there are less taxes on the rich and more on the middle class, and there are laws written by lobbyists to make entry to the market extremely difficult for a small business owner. So they have to stress themselves out if they ever want to make it as a business, and they can have problems making good decisions on the fly in their business. The few people who raise themselves up a tax bracket are the ones that are most angry about welfare. They stress like crazy to make the little extra money they have, so they should be able to spend it however they like, be it a giant TV or a Hummer. Things that they don't actually need and cause massive waste and don't really bring them happiness, but damn it, they earn that money, so they should be able to spend it however commercials tell them to. This is the American dream. Collect stuff. People in nations not hooked on cortisol don't mind giving up their money and taxes to ensure their neighbor is taken care of, and if they have a problem with the way the government is spending their money, they have the time and mental fortitude to organize and fix their government. We go to work, stress out in our jobs we hate, go home and sit in front of the TV or computer because we're exhausted, see commercials for things we don't need but we are told we want, and are incomplete and unhappy if we don't have them, then go out and shop. Then we go back to our jobs we hate and stress out more so we can start the cycle again. Only in a consumeristic nation is shopping considered a hobby, so our houses are full of stuff we never use, enjoy, or even remember having, but we have to protect, clean, and worry about it. The feeling of getting new stuff is an awesome rush. We all get it, but we quickly lose that rush and need something else once the change becomes normal to us. I find it interesting, prior to the late 50s, there was no such thing as a yard sale. It was only until after we became prosperous in a consumeristic nation that we started getting stuff we didn't need. After the war, people knew exactly what it was like to be poor, to not have labor unions, and to be treated slave wages. Now, for the first time ever, America was at the top of the world. Unions ruled, and the top 1% were taxed 90% and were still very rich. Infrastructure was being built up, and people could reach the upper middle class, and they worked hard enough for it, and happened to be white, straight males. They worked very hard because for the first time they actually felt like they could. One of the myths people have about welfare is that if people are given welfare, they will be lazy and not work. What they fail to take into account is that everyone wants to succeed and feel accomplished. People only rely on welfare if they feel like it's impossible to be successful. When success becomes easy, people become addicted to it and will get themselves off welfare. Only the mentally unstable will stay on welfare, and it's probable that they would have required state care anyway. Another problem is that those who are better off, or pulled themselves up, quickly forget what it feels like to be poor. Negative memories are dumped faster than positive ones, and they tend to forget the aspects that kept them poor. They forget how much easier it could have been for them had they had better access to success. People who never were poor have no idea how bad it can be for people and just brush off their trouble as laziness. Many who were poor think, look how much I did for myself and how the odds were against me, and look where I got myself. Others should be able to do the same. They really didn't do it all by themselves. There was government help, perhaps college, government programs like the military, or they had help from their family, or they just got good influences from family members or people who happened to be around them. Even Ayn Rand, the queen of do-it-yourself, did not rely on herself nearly as much as she'd like you to believe. She had family and friends that helped her out, and happened to have good contacts with famous, successful people. On top of that, just because it was hard for you, do you really think it should be hard for everyone? Success should be easier as generations progress, not harder. Success is a learned trait. You do not succeed in this society on your own because it's not instinctual. You either get lucky due to a break, have natural talent, or just happen to understand how to be successful by luck. Otherwise, all successful people are taught to be successful. Survey data shows this to be true. If you're surrounded by unsuccessful people, there's a good chance you will be unsuccessful too. If you're someone who started out with nothing and pulled yourself up to being rich and well off, you are a statistical outlier and in the tiny minority. Cortisol is the drug that keeps the poor man poor and the rich man discontented. When we can realign labor and livelihoods to reduce cortisol, our health, efficiency, intelligence, and happiness will rise. Until then, try some exercise and relaxation techniques like yoga or Tai Chi, assuming you have the time and energy.